In this video, I'm going to talk about a concept I've termed spiritual capitalism and how it actually fuels infinite growth. But spirituality is about acceptance and selflessness. But capitalism is about productivity and selfish growth. So, how the earth are you supposed to combine these two, Clayco? Well, I want to make the case in this video that immense productivity is actually possible because of spiritual capitalism. Because you reconciled both of these apparent contradictions. I've struggled very much my entire life how to combine these very deep spiritual insights that I found and these recognitions I realized through a lot of also philosophical contemplation and how to use this to actually change my life. Because most people come to the place where they recognize some deep truths like the truth of nihilism, and then they stop there. They cannot see beyond the concept. And there's a hint. When your philosophy makes you less happy and less productive, it's wrong. The framework of the spiritual capitalist will solve all of that. But the question is being begged, what the hell do I mean when I say spiritual capitalist? The spiritual capitalist understands that the foundation of capitalism is a healthy value exchange. In principle, capitalism is actually just about mutual growth, a giving and taking where, in the agreement of two parties, both benefit. The point is to make each other's lives richer and not to exploit each other's vulnerabilities. But inherently in capitalism, the exploitation of vulnerabilities has to be a part of it. Because when you do sell, you sell to pain. And essentially, most people understand that and then use it to their advantage. And in this way, capitalism as it expressed in modern times and in many societies appears as a form of narcissism, where the only thing that is being cared about is your own benefit, no matter the cost. And spirituality is actually about letting go of most of our self-biases. This is why it feels inherently wrong to put the word spirituality and capitalism in the same sentence. But at the end of the day, we need to enrich ourselves by selling to other people's pain. That's how exchanges work. The other person needs something, and we find that out and try to give him what they need. You buy something yourself because of comfort and desire you feel. Something is not good enough, so you want more. This is likely the reason why this concept spoke to you and you clicked on this video. Good marketers look out for what you want, and they are trying to see where you're vulnerable to get you to buy what they have to sell to you. This might sound inherently evil. It makes us feel uncomfortable that we're being preyed upon in this way. But I'd argue it's not evil at all. In the ideal scenario, whatever you're vulnerable about will get replaced by something that makes you more powerful. Like somebody who sells you an umbrella on a rainy day. Or another odd specific example is the California gold rush. It was in 1848 where they discovered a ton of gold, and people need shovels. And those who got really rich weren't those who tried to dig for the gold, but those who sold the shovels. But I find this seems very fair. It's honestly a win-win situation. It's smart business, and it's actually helpful for the overall population. And it's in this help for an overall community where you noticed that there's like some inherent good at the mechanics of capitalism, despite what a bad rap it gets and how awfully it expresses itself through, just the human ego. And of course, the altruistic move would be to give the shovels away for free, but this, of course, loses track of just pure reality. We need to take into account that most things cost effort, cost materials. The guy who made the shovels needed to create the shovel, import the shovel, store it and sell it. And he also has his own human needs and has his own kid to feed, his own family to protect from the rain. And altruism won't feed you. Neither will spiritual acceptance. So it's almost like a form of spiritual bypassing, where you think that you are above the need of money, above of the need of influence and impact or fame. I used to play this ego game. It's the ego of not having an ego. I thought myself to be so much above society that it's okay to not do anything with my life. Because I saw through the illusion of the social ego games that people were playing, and I saw that money doesn't buy happiness. It is pretty obvious that it doesn't. But ironically enough, on the other side, I fell into the spiritual hippie trap, saying that all you need is acceptance and that there's nothing to change because everything is already perfect how it is. But if your spirituality causes you to accept everything and do nothing with your life while you feel miserable, you're doing it wrong. But then, am I not just describing capitalism at this point? What really is it that makes the understanding of those concepts or the concept of spiritual capitalism really so powerful? Why does it make one so productive? Well, the way I finally moved past this egoic desire to be above egoic desire was to recognize that the world is pretty much real. And no matter how much I disliked my image or like the image I had of society, I do felt the need to be somebody, to do something of value for people, to be more than just four walls in a room and internet. And then I saw that this sensation that I am better than society because I don't need to participate in all of these influence and money games, it was actually cowardice. It was cowardice and fear of maybe not being good enough, not fitting in, and not having the impact that I really wanted to have. And the only way you come out of this blockage, of this trap where you fear your own failure and you lack the acceptance of who you are, is through a good sense of spirituality. There was a crucial shift in my perception one day where I noticed that this desire in me to be somebody better than what I am, this is what spirituality actually is all about. There's something there that wants to be built, like an intrinsic, deep desire of a calling. Even though if you don't know what it is or where it comes from, but this unsatisfying feeling of just day in and day out working at something that you don't really enjoy, it shows you that survival is not enough. And being isolated from society clearly isn't the answer either. Despite feeling that purpose doesn't really exist because it's all just an illusion of the mind and all of these nihilistic excuses, I couldn't help myself but to want more. Wanting a better life for myself and my family. And then I understood that spirituality is precisely about that. To accept who you are, who you have become, and to find a way to be better. The problem that we have nowadays is that everybody thinks that they have no impact, that one person doesn't really matter much. But this is just ignorance. When you let go of your ego, you start to see how much impact even small decisions you make in one day have. Because if you get like some type of transcendental vision where you see above your little life, you can see that each decision you make ripples into infinity. Because you're not separate from the entire universe and its consequences. This means that each second of your life causes a chain of causes and conditionings that affect kind of everybody. And this also shows how precious each moment is and how your choices matter. As fun as it can be to relativize everything, it's simply ignorant of what's to come, the responsibility you bear for being alive. My nihilism was annihilated when I faced reality head on. I couldn't deny the consequences anymore. I couldn't deny anymore that the way that I was living made myself and the people around me miserable. That there was potential inside of me that needed to be realized, not just from an egoic perspective, but just from the natural move of what reality wanted to do. And then something beautiful happened. Because when you see this calling and when you can see how little it matters in the grand scheme of things, and also how much it could matter in the near future, in the present moment, then the movement towards productivity becomes the natural move. Then all of this resistance and this dislike and this frustration about how difficult it all is stops. Or at least it gets greatly reduced. It's not the inhibiting factor anymore. It is still something that requires effort, but there is a certain effortlessness in the effort. It's very contradictory, but you certainly have felt it before, where the difficult feels easy and the easy feels difficult. Because the desire to create value in the world is the natural move. Because what is really the difference between a spiritual life and a productive life? And what is really the difference between being a capitalist and trying to create a system that is mutually beneficial? The selflessness of spirituality and the selfishness of capitalism work perfectly together. When you have both, you naturally become a person of integrity. You have to care for your own life and your own well-being to be able to benefit other lives and care for other well-beings. And thanks to the system, we are able to talk right now. That's why we have this incredible system of communication and information. It's incredible that any of this is possible, and it has been enabled by both this desire to help others and to benefit ourselves. But the complexity goes beyond even just our human selves. Now we are getting metaphysical. Because the nature of reality is creative. From the start of the Big Bang to your experience right now, you can see how reality has created everything in different forms and sizes, exploring what it can do. It has done so productively by trying things out, by failing and trying again. Millions of years of evolution giving us these weird abilities to create technology that is so advanced. And it experiences itself through you. And you can see that it's not some coincidence or some freak accident. Because reality is conscious. Reality is self-aware. And the only way you can deny that is by denying your own consciousness. It is an objective fact of reality that the universe is capable of self-awareness, or you wouldn't be alive. Reality is a system of exploration and growth. Productivity is embedded in the nature of reality itself. If it wasn't productive, we wouldn't be talking either. And when I say reality, I don't mean it in such an abstract thing. It's a process that keeps unfolding in all its ways. Reality is a dynamic, co-creative process that is being expressed through all these different forms and shapes. It's expressed through you. And when you let go of your human biases, what you can see is that this potential is truly infinite. It is incredible how many shapes and forms exist in reality and how much it took to make all of this happen. This is why it appears as something so beyond us and so incredibly complex that we want to separate each other from it. Why we want to act as if we are not part of reality, but some external observer that just looks at things. But clearly we're not. We are embedded in the fabric of reality itself. We are the physical process unfolding. And the beauty that when I say reality, I really just mean you. It's the embodied version of who you can become. Think how much stuff has happened to become you. You're such a unique process of cultural and biological influences, of chemical reactions and atoms, and the way we're communicating right now through these vocal cords in my throat, and then this microphone giving you the sound waves through your ears, created by the internet. There are so many things going on that have led to this precise moment. And this is why you have the unique ability to create something that is truly yours. This is why you have a gift to give to this world that only you can create. Uniting the apparent contradiction of spirituality and capitalism is actually about seeing the nature of reality itself. This desire to build a life that is productive, that creates something, a product, a project, or just your dream family. This is a desire from reality. It's not just a thing happening in your brain. And when you see yourself as part of the whole, you start to see why it's not just in your head. It's really everything. As a matter of fact, like objectively. I don't mean any of this metaphorically. When you start to see that everything is you, there's nothing that can hold you back. You have deep acceptance of yourself, what you want, and who you can become. You don't need to hide behind some fake selflessness or compassion. You can be egotistical and still giving. And if you understand that we're all one, if you have had these deep spiritual insights, well, then it doesn't really make sense to screw another person over and to just use capitalism for egotistical gain. It is the nature of human to be egotistical and care for itself, but it's the nature of reality to be compassionate and caring and to share all that it can do. So the more spiritual you become, automatically the more selfless you become. Because why would you hurt yourself? When you tap into that power, there's no limit to what you can do because you are detached from the outcome. Your identity isn't involved in the outcome anymore, but instead you become the process. This is what the feeling of flow is like, when you're so focused in your work that all time fades away and all you are is in this precise moment, doing what must be done. And this is how I'm building my life right now. That's all that I'm betting on, that I can share these insights with other people and give them the drive they need to create what the universe desires. That's why I've built this Discord community where I show people how to combine these spiritual insights with practical action, how to understand your psychology deeply while still being grounded in just practical reality. There's nothing more powerful than being fully present while constantly growing and to have people around you who want the same. This is this power of spiritual detachment, really. And it's not about not caring at all. It's about not being controlled by what you care about. It's a paradoxical way of deeply caring while not caring at all. And this all is actually just touching the surface of this entire spiritual capitalism concept. I made another video about spiritual capitalism where I laid the groundwork. And if you want to dive deeper in what it means to truly embody your purpose, then watch this video next.